Hello. Thank you everybody for hopping on and joining us today on Thursday. My name is Annie Bradshaw. I just wanted to kind of touch base and kind of introduce how this all came about for those of you who are unfamiliar. So I run the Facebook groups of preschool gymnastics coaches and Excel gymnastics coaches, just for fun. And I was on there and somebody had posted a thread asking for some online training, and if anybody knew of anything. And unfortunately, there was nothing kind of geared exactly towards coaches. There are a few that I am aware of for like owners and managers, and then there's ones that I've seen for like business and marketing, but I wasn't really aware of any that had come about specifically for training coaches. I know that some gyms have been getting their PPP money and wanting their coaches to do training hours because they're not able to actually work in the gym right now due to COVID. And so I was like, well, I guess I can put this together. And so about 2 weeks ago, I contacted some of my friends and reached out to some people. And so far, the presentations have been awesome. I am so grateful to all of our presenters that have been doing this. We have this today, and then we have this Thursday as well. So my presentation today, I'm not going to have a slideshow for this one. I will for Thursdays, but today will be more interactive. So feel free to hop on that chat. If you change it to all panelists and attendees, everybody can see your comments and stuff. And so this will be a little bit more interactive than the other ones have been so far. So feel free to jump on. Can you please post the link for Thursday's Zooms, as I think I missed signing up for 2 of them, please? Yes. Feel free to comment and let us know where you're from also, because I know that there are people that are like waking up at ridiculous hours because they wanted to attend from like Australia and New Zealand. So welcome if you're from the other side of the country and are waking up at a ridiculous hour to do this. I appreciate you hopping on. Oh, how fun. Oh, yeah. Yeah, way to go, Shaylee. 6 a.m. New Zealand. Yep, I knew it. Oh my goodness. Massachusetts. I'm from Massachusetts. I'm currently in California, but I was born and raised in Massachusetts. So little piece of my heart's there. Okay, so today's topic is yearly preschool lesson planning. And if you've attended the other webinars so far, we have gone over a couple different things. We did the stick to structure with Tony, then we did the parent talk with Sarah, and then we've done the trampoline with Tanea. And all of those were wonderful. And if you didn't get a chance to tune into those yet, we have been successfully recording them thus far. And so those will be posted later that you can share and watch them if you've missed them. So hopefully that'll continue on and we'll keep recording everything successfully. You never know with technology. And so like, I was like, ooh, when people were asking me, I was like, I'm gonna try, but you just never know. Oh, Canada. Oh, how fun. Okay. So, as you guys can see, there are people from all over. And so part of preschool lesson planning, you kind of have to be aware that each gym is different. And Tony kind of went over this as well. Oh, Hungary. How cool. Okay. I gotta focus. So with preschool lesson planning, obviously each gym is different. Some gyms have pits, some gyms have a lot of space, some gyms are 2,000 square feet or less. I come from a gym currently, California Sports Center. I used to work there too. I used to actually work there. I was a preschool coordinator there. Back in the day. I now manage and run a gym called V-Force Elite Gymnastics in Madera. We're obviously not running right now. But that's where I'm at currently. I coached at California Sports Center. I coached at a small gym in southeastern Idaho. I coached at a gym in Massachusetts, and then I coached at my home gym growing up in Massachusetts. So Christopher's outside. Hi, Christopher. Okay, so that was just a little side note. So I've coached, so let's kind of go through. So in Massachusetts, I coached at a mostly recreational gym. In Idaho, I ran the optional program. In CSC, I did the preschool. And now I'm the Excel director and do all the lesson planning for preschool and the recreational program. So with that, each gym that I've worked at has been very different too. So I went from coaching optionals in Idaho to coaching at a preschool, basically a preschool only gym in the Bay Area. And it was teeny tiny. And so each gym's preschool programs with that has been very different as well. Which one in the Bay Area? CSC. I worked at California Sports Center. And so with that, each preschool, kind of the way they did their lesson plans was different too. So some gyms go week to week and do something different depending on who's writing the lesson plans. Some of the gyms that I worked at didn't have preschool lesson plans, which I don't encourage, PS. We brought up in Tony's lecture that even if you have a relaxed structure, even if you have more of a structure rather than a specific lesson plan, everything needs to be written down for litigation reasons. So if someone were to come back and say, you weren't supposed to be teaching this lesson, or my kid got hurt when you were doing this, was that what you were supposed to be doing? You need to be able to have written paperwork to back up that you were teaching it correctly in the fundamentals and progressions in a way that the lawyers will follow. So with your lesson plans, you want to make sure that you're covering those fundamentals and progressions correctly. With that, each gym also does their preschool classes grouping differently. So some do like 3-year-old classes, 4-year-old classes, 5-year-old classes. Some do all preschool in one group, depending on your preschool program. And I get it. You have to find what works, because in Southeast Idaho, where there's not as many people, honestly, you might have to combine classes to make it a feasible option for you during that class time. So maybe an 8 a.m. in the morning, you'd have to do a 3 to 5-year-old class rather than a specific 3, 4, 5, because you don't have the demand, but you still want to run a class to make use of the gym time. Okay, anyways, so let's kind of go through. So I've been to several congresses. I've been with USA Gymnastics. I know there are people from all over. I'm trying to, and with that, I've learned a lot. There are different lesson plans available currently that you can buy. Patty Kamara has them. Happy Gymnastics has lesson plans. I think it's called LEAP. There's Flipping Education has lesson plans and ideas. They're all fantastic. I have bought all of them. For my personal use, what I do with those is I take them and then I pull ideas from them. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go through what I do and how I set my lesson planning in a way that makes sense for me. And again, what I suggest you do is take ideas, take pieces of what I do and apply it to your gym and what'll work for you specifically. And again, different coaches are different too. So there's that. Okay, so what I have found, this is how I'm organized. This is how I keep things in track. When I'm in the brainstorming phase, and you can do this, one thing that, okay, the things parents are looking for, so they're looking for in the preschool that the kids are having fun, that they're being safe, then that they're learning gymnastics. Those are the three big things that parents are kind of looking for. And so when I'm coming up with my lesson plans and my ideas, those are the things that I'm kind of keeping track of. And so when I like to theme, because kids have so much fun coming in and seeing, oh, where are we going this week, or what are we doing this week? And it also keeps kids wanting to come back because they want to see what the next week's plan is. Or if you tell them that next week is this fun plan, next week we're going to the circus, of course they want to come back next week, because they see that fun thing. And this also works, a PS, for your Zoom lesson planning. If you're doing Zoom, you can decorate. So for example, my little preschool, I have a 3-year-old, so we do gymnastics in my house. But I could put all kinds of fun circus decoration in the back here and have a super fun circus lesson plan. Thomas Hamlin has also done some great, I saw his, I think his was a circus actually, from a couple weeks ago that he did on his Facebook Live. That was fantastic. So if you're not a member of the preschool gymnastics group, people share stuff like that all the time if there's a specific thing you're looking for. Anyways, back on track. Okay, so these are my friends. So I like to use colored sticky notes. Sometimes I use colored like note cards, and because I'm very much, internet connection is unstable. I'm very much a visual person, but I'm not artistic. And so some people, I'm sure you could put it together on like an Excel spreadsheet too and kind of figure it out that way. But so the way I like to break it down is I start by brainstorming my yearly theme. So it might be we're going on an adventure. Okay, that might be a yearly theme. Or you could do books. You could do a book yearly theme. And honestly, if you have 2 or 3 yearly themes each year, you can rotate through those 3 yearly themes, and your preschooler won't ever repeat, because hypothetically they're in preschool for preschool classes for a max 3 years. So they're there for 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and then they're off, typically. We'll go over that. Sorry, I'm going to go over question and answers at the end, but if you have general comments, feel free to use the chat function. Okay, so once I have my yearly theme, I divide it up into 6 8-week sessions, basically. So for example, let's go with, if we did reading as our yearly theme one year, what are some, well, I'll give you an example. We could do a Dr. Seuss theme as an 8-week session. So with that, then what I do is I break it down, and I do 2 weeks at a time for our lesson plan. So within an 8-week session, you have 4 2-week lesson plans. Okay. So we've got Dr. Seuss is the 8-week lesson plan, right? And then I need to come up with 4 specific themes within Dr. Seuss. So I could do the places you'll go as a theme. I could do one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. I could do, feel free to split them out if you want to too. Oh, thanks. Okay, but anyways, you kind of get the idea. So I'd come up with 4 Dr. Seuss themes. That would be one note card, okay? And then on another note card, I'd put another 8-week lesson plan, an 8-week theme. So maybe my next 8-week theme could be, I don't know, it could even be nursery rhymes, okay? Or it could be animals and do a going on a bear hunt and I don't know, other things. Anyways, so you can go through the whole year and create these, sorry, my handwriting is atrocious, but you kind of get the idea. The idea is that I just want to give general ideas. So then from there, right, I have my, I pick one of them, under the sea, ABC, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. You're pulling CSC themes. I'm she's pulling themes from her gym. Then from there, I pick one of the weeks. So let's take Dr. Seuss, one fish, two fish. Okay. From there, I have my lesson plan. So these are the general theming, right? And then I'm coming up with the 2-week lesson plan. For these 2 weeks, I keep the lesson plan the same. The preschool is able to be set up the whole time. And so I set up my lesson plan at the beginning of those 2 weeks, and it stays the same. Team coaches know that if they take something from preschool, they have to put it back before preschool gets there. Okay, so if we take one fish, two fish, then what we do is we start to plug it in to our lesson planning. So what I would do is take one fish, two fish, and look at the book, if I'm using the book as a theme, and I'm looking at all the ideas of things that could become stations. So for example, one fish, two fish, I could have a counting station. I could have red fish, blue fish, colors. I could do fish, being like a fish. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas. So from there, what I do is I look at what events preschool is assigned to that week. So say preschool is assigned to balance beam and bars and a floor. Rewind. So typically in a preschool lesson plan, we have our warm-up time, we go to 3 events is what we do, and then we have an ending time. So I have my general lesson plan, then I have my brainstorm ideas of things. Then what I do is from there, then what I'll do is I'll take those ideas and apply them to the lesson plan. So for example, if they're on beam, I'll take ideas of maybe they're holding a little plastic fish from one of those games, or I don't know, you could even take a little fish and cut it out of construction paper and laminate it. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. They hold the fish from one side of the beam, and then they have to put it in a bucket at the end of the beam to put it away to swim. But you take those general ideas and apply them to the lesson plan. And then you always want to have the same number of stations as you would have max number of kids in the class. So if your max number of preschool kids is 6, which it probably will be for everybody with COVID, 6 absolute max. And so if you have 6, you want to have at least 6 stations. So that way each kid has their own space for something that they're doing. And occasionally in the past, I do circuits, but with COVID, it would probably be smart to plan your lesson plans in that the kid will stay at the station and then rotate every like minute, if that. So when you do your lesson plans, you're planning 6 stations per event. So you're looking at 6 times 3, you're coming up with 18. So you want to brainstorm 18 things. Or you can repeat ones between the things. I don't know yet, Jacqueline. I haven't honestly figured that out yet because I think California's a bit away from opening. And so I don't think that, I don't know. Okay, so, and you can repeat these too. So if you wanted to do a whole circuit, so if you want to do all of beam on colors with the red fish, blue fish idea, you could do all of beam on colors and then do all of vault on counting, you know, and do a hopscotch station and count how many times you jump on the mini trampoline. All those kinds of things, you can tie those in to your lesson plan. Okay, and then from there, I plan my beginning and my ending activities. So the beginning and ending activities are the most important parts, I think, because you're looking at when the parent's paying attention and setting the stage for your class. You want it to be something fun and inviting for your kids to want to participate in. So your opening thing is one of the most important things, and then your closing thing when the parents are inside to pick them up, or the ending feeling that the kid has before leaving class, you want it to be the funnest part that the kid remembers and wants to continue in. Okay, so with that, with my preschool lesson planning personally, warm-up time is between 5 to 7 minutes. And that warm-up time includes gathering the kids at the beginning and getting them ready and introducing myself and making sure they know my name. And then introducing the theme, and then also introducing the, with that, I normally have a song. I always pick a song. And normally, honestly, it's a song that I sing. I know that different gyms sometimes have access to music and you can play a song too. That works too. And I always introduce a certain skill focus. And that skill focus is for the whole 8 weeks too. And that skill focus is normally like a focus on a body position or a shape. So for example, Dr. Seuss might be the theme and my position is a lunge because I'm teaching about the Cat in the Hat and his tail or something, you know, and I'll tie it in and fix them, or you got to have your big long hat on. I don't know. So with that, so you have your overarching theme, you have your song. I do a song every 2 weeks normally, and I keep that song the same for those 2 weeks. And then I have theme, song, skill, and then we go to our events with basic stretching in there too. And then we go to our events, and then after the events, we do an ending activity. And the ending activity for me, I rotate through. I have 12 ending activities that I rotate through. So each week the ending activity is different. So for preschool, obviously repetition is great. They retain a lot more, and there's a reason that they repeat and do the same thing over and over again. And you have to teach parents that there's a reason why they keep practicing a lot of the same things. But the theme is what helps make it different. So maybe they're walking by the beam every week, or every however many times that's in your circuit. But each time they walk the beam, it's something slightly different. So they're holding a fish, or they're calling like a kitty cat, or they're doing something to do it slightly differently, but it's still walking the beam and working on those fundamentals. Okay, and then the ending activity, I rotate through 12, and so week 1 may be parachute. And parachutes, fun fact, you can just wash in the washing machine. Week 2, and it might get to the point where you have a parachute 1 week with one class, and you have a different activity. You have hula hoops with another class that you sanitize afterwards, or you have a big tub of sanitation that you keep in your party room that the party room's not being used right now because of the whole COVID thing, and the party room just becomes a sanitizing station that stays locked during the day so that kids can't get in it, but you can sanitize all your props between class. But anyway, so 1 week somebody does parachute, 1 week somebody does cones, 1 week somebody does hula hoops, 1 week somebody does one of my favorite things are those vinyl blocks that are like pit cubes, but they're covered in vinyl, so they're cleanable. Those are awesome. French fries back there are awesome. You could even use these colored squares as a prop, and they're easy to sanitize afterwards. You can use what are they called? Lummi sticks. Those are great. But anyway, so I rotate through those 12 so that their ending activity is different every week. So that way the parents are seeing something different every week, even if the theme is the same 2 weeks in a row. If the ending activity is different every week, the parents think that it's different every week. And it helps them. Okay, and then from there, let me think. And then from there, I write it all out and do it. So I've had preschool coordinators. So the gym I managed before this, I had a preschool person who was training to be a teacher, and she was artistically fantastic. And so she would draw the lesson plan every week on the whiteboard, and then I take a picture of it so that we had it documented for litigation reasons. But she'd draw it all out on the whiteboard, and it was so fun. And then from there, it would, that's how the coaches knew it, because the whiteboard was in the staff room. I am not that artistic, and so I set it all up, and then I take a picture, and then I personally put it on a program called Canva, and then on Canva I write station number 1, and then I write what station number 1 is, and then station number 2. And for preschool lesson planning, I always plan for the 3-year-old that has never done gymnastics before. And then from there, so for example, on the barrel, I'd put a mat down because 3-year-old barely learning. They're going to put their hands down and then try and walk their hands a little bit. And that's probably actually a little big even for 3-year-olds. But they'll put their hands down, and the object is to walk in and out. And for a 4-year-old, maybe I change it slightly and put a Velcro line across, and they have to walk all the way to the end of the Velcro line and all the way back to the dot. And then maybe for the 5-year-old, maybe that's my spotting station. I'm having them go backwards and reaching backwards. It just depends on what you're doing. But I'm writing that all down on the lesson plan so that it's all documented again. So the station would be this, and I'd write a number 1 next to it, and then I'd say walking hands in and out in a push-up position. And then I'd write 2 next to it, and I'd write 1 next to it, and I'd write 2 next to it, and I'd write 1 next to it, and I'd write 2 next to it, and I'd write 1 next to it, and I'd write 2 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 next to it And then I'd put, for more advanced, try this. For even more advanced, try this. That way it's all documented, and within the class you can adapt it. So if you have a 3-year-old class and the kid's older sister was on team, and she's more advanced than most 3-year-olds, obviously I'm gonna switch the lesson plan a little bit to still challenge her, because we want that kid to still be learning gymnastics and improving in a safe way. And so if they've already mastered the first one, I'm still going to explain the station as the basic 3-year-old station. But then when she gets to that station, maybe I adapt it a little bit for her to make it more challenging. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, now I'm going to get to some of the questions. How do you provide themes without costing yourself an arm and a leg? Over time and slowly. So for example, if I'm doing a circus theme, I will look for sales. So I look for things to go on sale after Halloween is one of the best places to get theming ideas cheaply. Sarah, that is a great point. Print out lots of images and laminate. Because so for example, look at this little setup here that I have. Imagine a big picture of a circus tent laminated on there, colorful, obviously. And then a couple other fun things and circus things, and then stick it to the equipment too. And you could be fine with just laminating, but then I also like to look for deals. And the best time to do that is after holidays. I just found some great St. Patrick's Day stuff the other day. Not that I am planning on doing a St. Patrick's Day lesson plan, because it doesn't really fit in with what I'm doing. But maybe for a parents' night out or something. But you can find those kinds of things. Hobby Lobby is great. With a coupon and after season sales, grocery stores, dollar store. The preschool gymnastics coaching group, again, is great about sharing when they find a super great deal at Big Five or something, it's great to share those kinds of things. Target $1 area, yep. Do you find that 6 stations is too much for the kids to remember? Yes. 3-year-olds can remember 3 things. And so if I have a class of 3-year-olds, I'm going to do 3 of the stations first, and then I'm going to have them do the other 3 stations. So I don't necessarily do all 6 stations at the same time. So for example, they'll do this wonderful push-up walking station, and their partner is going to be next to the barrel holding a push-up position on a Velcro line. And then they switch, and then they switch, and then they switch. I don't know how that's going to work with COVID, but that's how it works typically in my brain. So I started with one event. Yeah, one themed event. Yep. So start with just one event, or even just the warm-up area. Just theme one area, and then it expands and expands over the years. Give yourself a budget. That's the easiest way to do it too. So say you're only going to spend $10 a month or something, and towards your theming, and then from there, some months you might not spend anything. Some months you'll want to stock up and save more for after Halloween sales or whatever it may be. But over the years, you can start to collect a lot that way. How do we handle high fives? Yeah, air fives, thumbs up, lots of thumbs up. I really enjoy coming up with our own kind of code names or code things. So for example, you can do the thumbs up, or you can be like, boom shakalaka, or something, you know, that relates you to the kid and makes you excited. Okay, sorry, 6 kids too much for the, yes. What are your ending activities that you rotate? I kind of went through that. So I do, and there's so many, like, if you're ever going through these ending activities and you're like, I don't know what to do with them, get on a physical education website, and they have tons of ideas of things to do with hula hoops, things to do with parachute, games to play, songs to do. All these kinds of things are things that you can do for your ending activities. Yeah, examples of 10, 12 activities. Yep, I already did that. Okay, what was the preschool? Preschool Gymnastics Coaches is the name of the preschool group. Toe taps. I like toe taps, but I worry because then you're within the 6 feet. So I would avoid any type of contact until we get cleared to do so. Silly face that they copy. That's great, Amanda. Great idea. Sign language claps. Yep. Sign language claps are great too. Even clapping yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. Tell your kid to give yourself a pat on the back. How do you ensure skill progression across not just 8 weeks, but the whole year? So for preschool, Sarah, you're working on your foundation skills. So I do skill cards, even for my parent taught, that I'm checking off the skills. Most of the time developmentally, the kids are developing in preschool. They're you are not often going to have a 3-year-old that does a pullover. It happens. I've had them. They exist, but it's not very common. And so your skill progression is the idea that you're starting with the fundamentals and building. So each station, again, has your basic 3-year-old, but then if they're progressing and doing better, maybe next time you're changing it to the harder version, but still the same lesson plan and still the same basic. Okay, gym is fairly small. I never know what mats I have available. Yeah. That's a conversation to have with your owner. That's one. 2, sometimes the owners are the team coaches or the coaches that steal the mats, which I've been there. And so what I do in those cases is plan the general stations or focuses. So for example, let's go Dr. Seuss, 1 fish, 2 fish. You have a counting station. You were planning on using a springboard for this station. You have to learn to be able to adapt. So maybe you don't have a springboard, maybe you have a mini trampoline, or maybe you just have a hula hoop, which happens sometimes. So then you just use the hula hoop. They run, they jump in the hula hoop, and they jump off the other side. You have to learn to be a little bit flexible in those, well, a lot of it flexible in those kinds of cases. So you have to be able to no, but you still have to be able to write the lesson plans and be prepared for class, because you don't want, again, you want to be able to cover yourself in the case that somebody sues. Okay, with COVID, we are planning to have each child at their own station, coach as a group through multiple, yeah, yep. That's kind of the plan. Another option, and I've done lesson plans this way too, I just don't know long-term how feasible this is. So for preschool, sometimes what I do is grab those crayon beams. Each kid gets a crayon beam or a line, and they're going through the whole lesson plan on their own specific space. So we're going to be kitty cats right now and crawl like a kitty cat and stick your tail up in the air, and everybody's doing it at the same time, doing station number 1. And then they go to station number 2 and they're getting in their cat in the hat pose with their tall hat on, whatever it may be. But that way they're all doing it at the same time in their own space, separate, without having to sanitize between each station. But you'd have to adapt all your equipment and kind of invest to do things like that. So each kid would need a preschool bar, and each kid would need to have a floor bar. You'd have to have like a floor bar station of 6. You'd have to have a preschool bar section of all preschool bars, 6 preschool bars. You'd have to have 6 crayon beams. You'd have to have 6 Velcro lines. But it's doable. You know what I mean? It's doable. How long are your classes, and are parents involved? Parents are only involved in parent and taught classes, which are under 3. Our classes are 50 minutes. We started preschool classes 9 months with parents. Yeah, we start at 18 months, just because we have a little gym and a my gym in our area, and to be honest, they kind of have that niche market, and we let them. We want to focus on as they get a little bit older and teaching actual gymnastics. Not that they don't teach actual gymnastics. Trust me, I enrolled my child in my gym, loved it when she was little, but it's a completely different program. Okay. How do you store lesson plans and also theme props, laminated stuff to keep track of that you can do more than one theme? So theme props and laminated stuff, each theme has a tub that's stored at the gym, and the lesson plans themselves are kept here. Each month has a tab, and laminated stuff is kept in here too. And then I also, like when I go to a congress or something and I write down a note of a good idea for a theme, I'll write it on a separate piece of paper in my congress notes. And then when I get home, I stick it in with the month of the theme that I want, or the 8-week session of the theme that I want. That way I remember to use it when that theme comes up. How do you do your themes and lesson plannings when you can't keep your drills up all week? You set them up 15 minutes before class, and you take them all down at the end of class. It's tiring, but it's doable. Themes are a little bit harder. The lesson planning is doable, but the themes you have to be a little bit more creative in how you want to. Hopefully you can decorate maybe a little warm-up area or a little section to put the theme down. I have to take down each event immediately after I finish that event. Yep. I used to have to do that too, and then I had a conversation with the owners and we were able to switch that around, because it's just not, as our preschool program grew and as we started having preschool every hour, that really helped, because then we had to leave it up, because it didn't make sense to set it up and take it down and set it up and take it down and set it up and take it down when the same sets of kids were using the equipment every time. So try and grow your preschool program and encourage your owners. I have not figured that out yet. I am working on figuring out where these will go after they're posted, but I don't know for sure yet. But I will send out an email to everybody on the email list once it's done. I do parent taught until 4. It's great. Ooh, that would be nice. After a 3-year-old class, man, I am so tired. But I will tell you that that's the one that'll kind of keep you in shape. But 3-year-olds are fun, handful. Do you have a separate preschool area in your gym? So We kind of do. We don't have a separate preschool room. Like some gyms do. Some gyms have our own designated preschool area. But we are part of the big gym. We are about 18,000 square foot gym. And so the gym has little corners of sections that are like, for example, like this section right here, that are specifically for preschool. So like occasionally, like at 7:30 at night when there aren't any preschool classes going anymore, team will clear it off and use it for some of their conditioning space. But during the preschool hours, it is its own preschool area. Whoop, whoop. Okay, any other questions or ideas or anything you want to share before we get going? Thank you all for participating. Oh, there's another question. Okay, I work in a media where the rec bar area is fairly small for an opening. Oh, bars. I honestly, Carly, to start, I almost wouldn't even go on the actual bars. I would use the lummy sticks and use floor bars and just set up my lesson plans in a way that the kids are separate and not using the same bars right now. I don't know, like, again, I don't know that California is opening anytime soon. And with that, we're not in the same position. But that's how I would start, is I'd start with just those kinds of stations for a few weeks. And there's lots you can do. And if you ever have questions about ideas for things you can do with just lummy sticks, just post it in the group and you can get like 100 things. It's so great. I love the information sharing that goes on there. But that's what I would start with. I would start with each person having their own stuff that won't involve any sharing of equipment, unless you're wanting to wipe the bars down between each kid, which doesn't really work. How do you keep parents coming off the floor? That's a fun one. How do you keep parents from coming onto the floor when they drop off kids late? Kids won't go in by themselves. So there's a couple of things that you can try and do. In our gym, we have a policy that after 15 minutes, the kid's not allowed to come on the floor. They get a makeup lesson. So if they're late, they don't get to come in because it just messes with the whole atmosphere and it's not safe. Okay, but say a few minutes late and the kid won't come out by themselves. Typically what I would do in that situation is I try and grab one of the team coaches or rec coaches or floaters that's available to help my class while I go try and coax the kid out for a second. But I obviously the other coach has other responsibilities, so I don't want to keep them very long. So if that doesn't work after like 10 seconds, I don't give them much time. If that doesn't work after like 10 seconds, I'll try and like coax them onto the floor with a bribe of trampoline time or something, or let them be the line leader. If that doesn't work, then I let the parent come in with the child and sit and watch for a minute until the kid's ready to participate. Because sometimes they're just not feeling it. And sometimes I'm not feeling it. I wish that I could not have to sometimes, you know what I mean? Everybody feels that way sometimes. And so for the kid, already their structure is thrown off because they're late. And so they already don't feel comfortable. And so by having them have time to sit and adjust, that cannot be all they need to continue to have a good class for the rest of the time. Okay. Front desk person. Yep. Front desk person can be a great tool. Our front desk is in a separate room than our classes, and so that is not always an option in our gym, but it can be an option. Oh, thank you, Jacqueline. We're trying to keep things positive and keep things going. Any other questions or anything to go? If not, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Next up is Mimi. Oh, I love Mimi. If you haven't registered yet, make sure to register for Mimi's class because she is fantastic. She's doing how to keep your staff motivated and connected during the closure. So that kind of fits right in here with what we were just talking about. How do you handle a kid? Oh, I send them home. How do you handle a kid that comes in with coughing and running nose per this virus, current virus? We send them home. We say sorry, and we offer a makeup class in the future, or a free open gym pass. Well, I don't know if we're doing open gym right now, but in the past, whenever somebody's sick, we send them home. Any kind of rash, we send them home. Any kind of coughing, consistent coughing, not just one cough, you know. And running nose isn't really a sign of coronavirus, so I don't know that I'd necessarily just do that one. The cough would make me more nervous. But yeah, if they're sick, I send them home. And our parents, we're lucky in that our clientele don't, they understand that if their kid's sick, they're not coming to gym. How many makeups do you allow? We do you allow other sports to do a makeup in your gymnastics class? No, we're a gymnastics only facility. So how many makeups do you allow? We officially allow 1 makeup a month, but we're pretty flexible in extenuating circumstances. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for tuning in, and don't forget to tune in for Mimi's class next, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.